The MD of the Irish Institute of Financial Trading, Peter Brown, and magazine publisher and the new dragon, Nora Casey, are both with us now to do with their take on some of today's other stories. And the first one we're going to start with, guys, you're very welcome, first of all.
Thank you very much.
The visit of Commissioner Ollie Rehn. He's arriving here later on today. He'll be meeting Brian Lenihan at 6 o'clock to talk about what we're up to here with our budget and so on. Peter, first to you on this. Obviously, as we heard in the news, we're not in a good state as he arrives at our shores.
Well, if anyone's under any illusion as to where Ireland is at the moment, they need to read Morgan Kelly's article in the Irish Times. That's how it's going to pan out. Ollie Rehn is here because he's looking after his interests, which is Ireland, which is now effectively run and owned by the Germans. They fund our banks and they're going to fund our debt because the bond markets have now gone beyond our reach. And next year, every penny we spend, we'll be asking them for it.
And just explain to us what you think he's here for. I mean, he's taking a good look through the books.
He's taking a good look through the books, but there's a bigger picture at stake here. The German concern and the ECB's concern is not necessarily Ireland. Ireland is small beer as far as they're concerned. Spain, Italy, Portugal and Greece is the big issue. So they need to kind of corral Ireland, right, and make sure we're being the good boys so that they don't let loose their big problems, which would be Spain and Italy.
No, look, he's over here for a few days. Can he do us any favours? Is there any point to bringing him out the town, showing him a good time, you know, around Dublin?
No, I have to tell you, he's not a man who is known for his good time. I don't think he'd be sipping a few pints in Baggot Street tonight.
He likes rock music, you know, we found that out.
And
he likes soccer.
He likes football, but here's a man who has been dedicated to his academic and then political career for most of his life, so he's quite a serious guy.
He speaks 7 or 8 languages, I think.
He does, and if he doesn't speak one, he'll learn it quickly overnight. So, but I do think, like, I'm in business, and every year, you know, when I was owned by a big corporate, you know, you had to face your budget holder and you had to convince them that you were going to be good and that your revenue was going to match your costs and in good years exceed your costs. And I think there is a bit of an issue about confidence in terms of the next 2 days, that, you know, we have to portray ourselves as a confident country that we can actually reduce our deficit and that the $6 billion plan is possible. So to me, I think it's a lot about having good ambassadors in the country. I'm not actually a doom and gloom merchant at all myself. Well, I'm in business and I know that everything is about me saying that I can actually achieve this. If we all sit around saying it's going to go to the wall, you might as well close the country tomorrow. Well, we're just going to talk ourselves into doing that.
And he's meeting business leaders, he's meeting unions as well, so he'll be talking to everybody.
But which business leaders? The problem at the moment is most of our business leaders are people who've lost a lot of money in the recession, and they're miserable people. So that's all you listen to, is how terrible the country is, what an awful state it's in, how, you know, our political leaders aren't doing the right thing for us. I actually heard Fergal Kuhn this morning. I thought, oh, at last somebody positive who's talking about something positive. My own business is doing really good. You know, you have to get out there and not rely necessarily on the government to give you a backhander and say, I could actually get out here and turn this around. There are businesses that thrive in a recession. But, you know, so long as our ambassadors are former bankers or property developers or people who are speaking from a mindset which is, I've had a terrible time in the last 18 months, we'll never get ourselves to that confidence level.
Peter, you deal in reality, though.
Yeah, but I also have a very successful business set up in the recession, only set up since February. And we have people coming to us who are taking control of looking after their own finances, and we're helping them along that way. But we're also people coming to us who want to learn to trade the financial markets for a living, and they're being very positive. So there is positive stuff.
And like, when you say to me, and you deal with reality, can I tell you, there's nothing more real than every month paying your staff. I don't have Ollie Rehn coming to visit me for 2 days to say he's going to bail me out of this problem.
I completely understand. I was being a bit facetious.
Well, we'll be definitely keeping an eye on Mr. Ollie Rehn, who a friend of mine thought he was a junior hurler from Waterford.
That's more about your friend.
It sure does. But anyway, a guy who has been talked to the papers about the lack of, I suppose, the seats that were available in the Viva Stadium over the past 2 days, especially the game against South Africa, was Ronan O'Gara. Really wants to get the fans to come behind the Irish team and says they're like the 16th player, Peter.
Yeah, well, this is the same issue, really. Again, I mean, there's people in our society that are still living in the Celtic Tiger times, where they need to adjust. Show a bit of commercial reality and adjust to the present circumstances. Ticket prices are too high.
Did you go?
No, I didn't. No, I'm a big soccer fan. I'm not that into rugby. But at the same time, if I wanted to take my son to that rugby match, I mean, it's too much money.
Yeah. Because Shamrock Rovers are playing Sligo Rovers in the Cup a week Sunday, and the tickets are only a tenner.
That's
and they're almost sold out.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, speaking of how to run a business, I mean, Nora, that pricing strategy that the RFU pursued here was just a spectacular own goal, wasn't it?
It was, and I also have a son who loves going to rugby matches, and I think the pricing just took most of us out of the market. But I also run events, and I can tell you that, you know, the Food and Wine Show is coming up in a few weeks' time, and we have to, everything's price sensitive. In the current market, everything has to be priced well. So last year, maybe €20 ticket, this year, €15 ticket. We can't actually get away with starting to charge people more and more. But it's outrageous compared to what value you can get out there, that you would pay 100 or 150 to go to a rugby match.
And I think as well, with Ron O'Gara, it was a 100 cap. That's what he was supposed to be talking about. And he actually felt strong enough to say, OK, we need to get the crowd behind us here. And that they're, like, as I said a while ago, the 16th member of the team. So obviously the team are feeling it as well when the place isn't full. And they didn't make a fuss of him either. Like, I mean, that was something spectacular, that it was his 100th cap. And, you know, he came on late in the day. He, you know, tried to save them. And then he comes out saying support rugby, which is absolutely true. I haven't looked at the IRFU's books recently. I don't think they're in a deficit. Yeah, I don't think Ollie Rinn will be going through them.
I think it's time for them to support us.
Not yet.
No. Our next story is the one that hit the headlines today about private schools. Pupils are quitting fee-paying schools because the parents can't afford their costs. And it seems that most fee-paying schools, Nora, have experienced this, where parents are just taking them out because they can no longer afford to pay the fees. And I suppose we're looking at this and looking at how it's going to affect the state system, because there's going to be more pressure on then with these students going in there.
And I would say there's something positive in that too. When I came back from London first, we couldn't actually get our child into a publicly funded school in Dublin. So it's one area where rural areas actually do much better, and you can get your child to go to a publicly funded school and probably get better quality teachers than you can in Dublin, because it's almost dominated by fee-paying schools. You know, the real issue here is almost all of us, if we have the money, will give our children the best possible education. So you can't say that this is going to be detrimental to what I hope is it's going to be positive development for publicly funded schools, and that there will be enough of them available in our areas that we can actually send our children to them.
Peter, do you think that most parents would pay if they could?
Well, I think we all fell into that trap 10 years ago. Certainly that when we looked at fee-paying schools, we all thought in the Celtic Tiger that we could afford them. And of course you forget that the length of commitment that's involved and the size of the fees that are, if you run a child through junior school and senior school, it's a massive amount of money. It's another one of these issues that has to be looked at again now that the circumstances in the economy have changed. I think in Dublin it's a very difficult issue, because there isn't a lot of alternative. Now, if we go back to the model that's in the UK, is that, you know, fee-paying schools are huge money because they have much fewer pupils and they charge much more excessively. Here, the fee-paying schools are really dominant, and most people have their children there. How we're going to unwind ourselves from this is
There's a dichotomy
tricky.
too, though, between our whole ethos is about smart economy, about creating very clever people. We don't have a lot of people, but let's have them really, really clever. Most of the young people I see coming out, they're not articulate. They don't know how to do basic math. You know, this is something fundamentally wrong with our basic education when we bring out young people like that who don't have basic literacy skills.
So it's a wider problem than the private-public debate.
Huge.
And Nora, a very interesting story we came across as well today is, you know, when people talk about expenses and politicians, they always think Ivor Callally and John O'Donoghue last year. But I think we have to go back to 1922 to find an honest one.
Is it Michael Collins?
Michael Collins, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great story, really.
Could he get any better, really? You know, when you're talking about great heroes in our political life, you know, when you read that about him and you think what a decent man he was, that he, you know, he went to the point of saying, look, that car that was hired, I did a few personal... He was doing canvassing
for the election, wasn't he?
Yeah, and he did a few personal trips. I'm more interested in the book about the personal trips. But he wanted to pay the money back.
And why he felt he had to pay for them himself.
He had his election agent at the time, a solicitor, I think in Cork, hired him and 7 other candidates a car for a week. And Michael Collins wrote back to say that he'd used the car for personal use during the week and he'd think it would be appropriate if he paid half of it. The other 7 candidates don't think wrote back
I think there was 5 that he never got the money back off.
Yes, 5 he never got the money back off,
but Michael Collins actually paid up, I think.
Was he either a different culture or he was just an honest man?
An honest man.
Yeah.
Thank you both very much indeed. If you happen across Ollie Wren, buy him a pint.
We will.
Ask him to play June and be hurling in water.
Or did he ever? So what do you make of those stories? Has Ronan O'Gara convinced you to support the Irish team?
Or do you think Irish politicians today should take a leaf out of Michael Collins' book or letter?
Whatever you have to say, we'd love to hear from you, and here's how to get in touch.